What's up, everybody? It's Soren Baker here on Unique Access Entertainment. As always, please hit that subscribe button. It's right down there and it's free. That enables us to keep coming to y'all as often as possible with as many interviews as possible. So please hit that subscribe button, like our content, share it, talk about it, be about it, each one, teach one. And if you can, hit that join button also right next door. That helps us in so many ways. Now, today, we have the honor and the privilege of being joined by Ice-T for his Crime Stories album. Ice, it's always a pleasure speaking with you, man. Thanks for coming through.
It's always a treat, Soren. Yeah, definitely, man. And you're going to be a part of this album because you're helping do the liner notes. And
Yes.
that's what we're here to talk about.
Yeah, man, it's very exciting. Obviously, been listening to you since before 6 a.m. So this is an honor, man. It's since breaking all kinds of stuff way back in the day.
That's
But
what,
with Crime Stories, let's get into the title first and the concept of the album before we start getting into each track. So how'd you come up with the concept for the album, and why is Crime Stories the title?
well, I haven't dropped an album in 5 or 6 years. As far as the last album I did was Gangster rap album. And I just really wasn't inspired, like to really sit up and do an album. The last album that really inspired me was Scarface's last album. And what's the name of the Scarface's last album? It was
Deeply Rooted.
Deeply Rooted. And I heard that album and I was like, man, I could do another album. But to do an album, man, it's hard when you're just doing it with random producers. It's hard. It's better when you can get one producer and you can just sit down, like I used to do with Africa Islam or Aladdin, and just, work on a whole group of records together. So the fans was still like, Ice, we need new music. So I started to drop little songs. I did like Fed into My Rear View, and I did Too Old for the Dumb Shit, just to have some fun. But everybody started talking, especially Chuck D, like, Ice, you the best storyteller, you this. I'm like, nah, Slick Rick got that crown. They like, nah, you're in there. Might not be the king, but you sit there on the throne with storytellers. So I was like, I started going through my albums and I called my manager and I said, you think we could get access to the story rhymes on all my different albums? I have 8 albums. And he said that might be complicated because when you got different labels, they can get really funny about that. But we were able to obtain them because now at this point in my career, I'm about to get my master's back next year. So they weren't being too hard about it. So we hooked up with the vinyl company. And I said, let's do it old school. Let's do vinyl. Let's do something that's more like a collector's item. So Crime Stories will be a double album with artwork, a centerfold. And I want to take people back to the old days where when you would buy an album, you would sit there, you would read the album cover, you would sit there, you'd look at where the studios were, special thanks, all that was important, and give people that experience that we used to have back in the day with a rap album. Now you just hit a button, you download it, that's it. And I think that's missing. I used to read Parliament album covers back and forth. I looked at all the artwork. I used to want to go to the recording studios that the other guys recorded in. All that was part of the experience of the album. So we're trying to bring that back. And what you're going to do, well, this interview is to give a little idea where these songs came from, what inspired them, what albums they came from, so that the listener has a little more backstory to this stuff. But these are all story rhymes based around 8 albums and about 5 or 6 unreleased records. And when I say unreleased, that means they were never put on an album. They were just, you might have heard them, but they never really were on any record. So now you're going to be able to have them on a record. That's what that's the plan.
And the artwork with the Crime Stories, I think, is great too, because it's illustrated. It's got a lot going on. You got, like, on the poster, there's the bullets with the album titles. So how did you guys come up with the idea to do the art in the way that you did?
Well, Tommy, the animator, is part of my team, and we've done music videos together. He's an incredible artist, and I said, let's do something kind of blaxploitationist, because a lot of my music is kind of blaxploitationist, and we wanted that old school, like, would you go see the Mac or something that would be like a movie poster, very cool. We even did one where it has rated X under the bottom, like a movie poster. And we put the producers on there as starring, those are the actors. And I just trying to bring art back to the game, Soren. Like, this is an artist game, and there's a lot of things we can do other than music videos to help add to the experience. So we just got real creative with it. And we're going to do some commercials, some animated commercials, and some cool stuff to go along with it. But this album is for Ice-T fans, like Ice-T, people that really fuck with me, they're going to love it. And then people that never heard of me are going to look at this and go, wow, this is interesting. Because when people quote styles, see, there's a lot of different kind of rappers. You've got verbal technicians, or I call acrobatic rappers, like Eminem's and all them that, they have a lot of verbal dexterity. Then you've got like party rockers, but then you've got people that are more theatrical. And I always fell into that category. In Power, I said, I'm living large as possible. Posse's unstoppable. Style, topical. Vividly optical. Listen, you'll see them. Sometimes I'll be them. So when you listen to crime stories, in some of these stories, I become the character that's going through the adventure.
Yeah, and that's, I think, a very important element that we're going to be talking about as we get to each one of these songs. Now, when you combine several stories on crime stories, which is drama, and that one, this is a tactic you used songwriting wise several times throughout your career. With drama, you start rapping right at the beginning of the song. Mm-hmm. So that's another thing that you do to vary things. Sometimes there'll be a beat, sometimes you're talking, sometimes you start a cappella, sometimes you start right when the beat starts. So with drama, back in the day with Power, with Africa Islam, do you remember how and why you guys wanted to start drama that way, where it's right out the gate?
I mean, I think it's just the way we felt the track was, like you put the track up, it might have had an intro, but then we'd be like, cut that, just drop it, boom. It's difficult to do live when you have a song like that, because then you have to have the DJ boom to hit you. But live it's hard. So sometimes you have to think about that. But yeah, Drama was one of the early records. Drama came in on, which album is that on?
That's on Power.
Power. So that's album number 2. Once again, we're out in the street, and I'm just taking you, cruising for a bruiser. I'm taking no crap. Pipe bomb in my trunk, got a 9 in my lap. It's kind of like just taking you into that drive-by stage. I'm laying for a spraying. Tonight there's no playing. The posse's most strapped. Tonight the crew's weighing. Dust is burning. It puts you in that car with everybody. And there's a lot of stories in that, one is like a drive-by, and the second one is a burglary where we get caught, and I in that song I give up some game too. I say that I say 4 a.m, lights in my face. That's the time, the place. Cuffed in the room with the two-way glass. The text in effect. Cold dog on my ass. What's your date of birth? What's your real name? Now, if you ever been to jail, if you don't give them the right information, you might get out.
You say on there, if they don't know who you are, they don't know what you've done. That's
True.
One of the coldest lines on the song.
Exactly. That they don't know who you are. They can't connect you to no shit. So you got to have an alias. You got to have a clean alias, and you might be able to get out. You might get an OR. Now, if they connect it to the rest of your record, it's a wrap. So they don't know who you are. They don't know what you've done. You're making this harder on yourself, son. I know this shit by heart. I'm too clever. Have you ever been arrested before? No, never. Lies. DA reject all over his face. You see, no confession, no case. But then all of a sudden, my boy started talking and telling, and now I'm fucked. And in that song, I end up in the penitentiary. And I start to reflect on, you know, if I had got knowledge from school books instead of street crooks, you know, and at the end of that song, you end up in death row. And that comes up. My partner was in prison and he told me, he said, no matter how tough you are in jail, they got an area for you. If you too tough for that, they'll move you here. You too tough for that, they'll move you here. At the end of the day, they'll have you locked down 24 hours a day, damn near. And so I say on death row, they got their own hot seat for those who feel they're truly elite. You know, the last thing you see is a priest. The lights dim, your life ends. So once again, here goes Ice-T excitement stories of crime and drive-bys and shit. But this is where you're gonna end up.
Yeah, because in the beginning of drama, you're talking about you're blinded to what's wrong and you're too dumb to know what's right. And I think that's also a missing element in a lot of times when people talk about crime is not only that the intelligence to get away with this stuff and like your characters going through like having to navigate the interrogation, but it's also all this luck. Like you have to be so lucky to get away with so much stuff, with so many layers, so many times with everything you do.
Absolutely. That's one of the reasons I got out, Soren, because I knew my time was up. The odds are eventually going to turn on you. The odds are going to turn on you, and you have to know, you know, what you've gotten away with in real life and shit. Your time is up. So yeah, you know, but that's what drama is about. It's that life. No matter what you do, drama.
The next song on Crime Stories is The Peel Your Caps Back, which
Woo.
from the Iceberg album, man, that's sonically, especially another Africa Islam beat, but also very sinister and I'd say macabre. So what's the genesis of this concept?
The concept of all my music is for the music to match the topic. So I'm not gonna put that bothered me a lot about gangster rap, especially when not the G-Funk era, but hip hop kind of started expanding where it would be like happy music over harsh content. I never really rock with that. I want the music to set you into place. That's why I like Mobb Deep, because you know Havoc's production and Alchemist production has you there where you should.
It's not a mistake. There's no mistake. It matches.
Try to match. So peel your caps back when that shit comes on. Dun 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 dun. Like what the fuck? There's nothing but a drive-by about to happen, you know. And the funny part is the record starts off with a joke. You know, I'm video dubbing, and back when you used to video dub, they had this thing that came on said FBI warning, you can't do this. And I said, cool in my crib, video dubbing, FBI warning me nothing. They call that shit a crime. That shit's a joke. I hit record, like fuck, you know, fuck that. And you know, I get a phone call to Ink, who now has died, rest in peace, got shot. And it's basically the step-by-step procedure of a drive-by. You know, you get the call, you know, everybody shows up in the street. Some people talk while others cried. Ink was a brother that shouldn't have died. Then there's usually one person that makes the call. The silence broke. Ice, what's it gonna be? 38 brothers stared at me. There was no, only two words I had to say. P-A-Y-B-A-C. I like the line where I say that the car is loaded with a silence that could wake the dead. You know, pistols clicked as the chamber's loaded full of lead. You know, and in the song I go, the cars hit the corner like a long black snake, night prowling for a life to take. You see, down in the ghetto, it's an eye for an eye. That's the answer to the question why. So the drive-by goes down. But then again, the Ice-T gets shot, pow. All of a sudden, a bullet comes through my eye. My dome exploded. And I felt my other brothers die. You know, my corpse stunk like a burnt-out, rotten piece of meat. 10 brothers died in the stupid homicidal binge, because whenever someone dies, nobody wins. But this drama, you'll never hear a word of because all the paper's going to read it's gang murder. I think Peel the Caps Back was just a way of me saying there's a reason for these drive-bys, but then it's not going to ever make it to the press. The press is just going to say gang murder, another
What?
gang.
Well, that's why, I wrote my book, The History of Gangster Rap, and thank you again for the amazing interview we did for that. But it's the explanation, like gangster rap didn't create these environments. It's talking about and explaining why the mentality is the way it is because of what the society has created. It's not, it's
Well, the pros and cons of the gangster mentality is the pro is I'm not going to wait on you. I'm going to take it. There's a pro to it, like, and we had to do that as Black people in America. A lot of things, if we didn't forcibly make sure things were right, it wasn't going to be right. But if somebody killed you and I knew who did it, as a friend, there's something admirable about me taking revenge. There's something admirable about that. It's something about you saying, man, nah, it's not okay. Fuck that. So in the madness of the gang world, there's a negative, but there is an undertone positive. It's almost like what you wish your father would do. You wish your father would ride for you, So it's definitely a dilemma of understanding all the stuff. You, as a person, have entrenched yourself in the culture to the point where you understand that even though it is madness, there is sanity in the madness. There is a lot of love. There is a lot of respect. There's fools out there that are just negative. We understand that. But, Soren, I answer a lot of questions with this quote I got from Fargo, which is, it seemed like the right thing to do at the time.
right.
And when you're dealing with these kids, when you're dealing with their level of education, when you're dealing with what they see as right and wrong and their perspective, at that time, it seems like the right thing to do. Until they have a broader sense of understanding and they have a broader sense of options, you're dealing with somebody who might make a reckless choice.
The next song on Crime Stories, we take it Soul on Ice. And this one is very interesting to me on many levels from Power. But when I first heard it way back in '88, my initial thought, and I've always meant to ask you this, and I can't believe I haven't, of all the times we talked over the decades now, I always thought the cadence, the style was Rudy Ray Moore, Dolomite-esque, how you delivered it, at least. Was there any influence or inspiration there, or not really?
Have you ever heard Hustlers Convention album?
I have.
Lightning Rod. It was more like them.
Okay.
Same type of thing. Lightning Rod, Hustlers Convention, and also a little bit of Iceberg Slim from Reflections. So
Okay.
it was more like, that real player, cool stuff. We got a jazz track going. I play the other voices in it, like I'm meeting up with Jazz and Donald D. And it's just, a traditional Hustler's toast of a guy that goes off that night to have his last hurrah in the game, and ends up outside looking at his man's car and gets shot, man. Like, how about that? That's ironic, ain't it? The night I retire would be the same night my whole life expired. It's done in a very classic player style, not rap, more rhyme, because there's no beat. And but yeah, anybody who likes that, they should research Lightning Rod, the Hustlers Convention. It's a whole album of that kind of talk, or Iceberg Slim's Reflections.
Okay. And on top of that too, I thought it was interesting. This ties into the end of the song, the playing off the different parts, but knowing that the character says, I know I have to get in and out of the game. And that to me is like, here's the little star at the beginning of the the movie that
Got to
tells you.
get in and get out if you're expecting to last. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the little thing that's gonna happen. But then, out of nowhere, a shot came across the street. I felt pain in my chest and my knees got weak. Yeah, but it happens like that. It's ironic. Uh, yeah, that was just something that was done early. That was on my second album.
Yeah, power. That and um given that given that on the one hand, I think rap, especially so that's 1988, which I think is the best year in rap history, thanks in part to Power. But I also think that back then people were doing all these different styles, and from rhyme pace to Power, you had already shown doing all these voices, doing the characters, rapping, doing the jazz background here. Um, why do you think back then, especially, there was this willingness to explore so many styles and sounds and different presentations?
Because early hip hop, you had to be original. Early hip hop, you know, it was paramount that you found your own lane. And I knew the lane NWA. Well, this is before NWA, but
Yeah.
I knew the lane other people were going, so I had to try to pick out my lanes. And being the LA player, I wasn't the original gangster yet. It was like I want to just create things that I do that other people haven't done. And so this was something I was fond of, and at the end of the day, I write crime stories in poetry. That's really what I do, and I think like that. So it's just one unique song. I never done another song like that.
Yeah, it's very powerful.
People say you should do a whole album like that. Maybe I'll do a whole album like
That would be interesting.
that.
Yes, get your smoker's jacket on and pull up a cigar and make it happen.
Well, you could do it with other rappers, but all the other rappers rapping in the same type of vibe, outside of RJ Payne can do it. I know different rappers that can do it and play.
Big Daddy Kane. Remember
Yeah,
later after you, Big Daddy Kane did it with Dolomite. He actually did it with Dolomite.
right. Yeah, it's fun.
Now, one of the most powerful, The Tower, that to me is one of your best songs, it's from my opinion.
Now this record's interesting because this record was co-written by one of my buddy's brothers, Dabo. And on the record, if you look at the record, there's a shout out to him. But he had just came back from the pen, and he had some bars, and I took some of his bars and put it together for this song because I've never been to the pen.
Hmm. Yeah, well, right at the beginning, the imagery that you use, like with the shackle down and like being on the bus and all that type of stuff. Thankfully, I haven't been either, but but the reality of that imagery I thought was so powerful, and the beat works in concert with it so well. And this is OG as well, the album, and it's just such an amazing story. A minute you arrived, so you're taking us this very detailed look at what's going on inside and as you're arriving. So how do you bring the power to that, do you think?
I mean, the thing of it is, first you need a track that's scary. So we got Halloween, which is all about murder and mayhem and stuff, and everybody, it's very sonically, people connect with it. And there's a lot of reverb on the voice. So it's almost supposed to sound like a dream, like I'm memorizing it, I'm remembering it. And it's just supposed to sound like a nightmare. This is the nightmare. This is the penitentiary. I think the coldest line in the record is, "This is my second day. I got a 10-year stay."
Hmm.
It's like he starts telling you all this shit that's happening. He's like, only been here 2 days.
Yeah, my first prison meal. It's like he's
Yeah,
really breaking it down.
yeah, my whole feeling was foul. It wasn't quite my style. And there's another line in it that said, when they I seen a brother kill another because they said he was gay. That's the way it is. It's been that way for years. And when his body hit the ground, I heard a couple of cheers, but it kind of hurt me inside. They were glad he died. But I asked myself who had the power. It's kind of like I am now adjusting to the prison mentality. I have to adjust to the prison mentality. And it's kind of like a walkthrough. One of the things I do other than stories is I do definitions. If you listen to my records, straight up hustler, straight up nigga, I'm your push. All these are definitions. You know, some of y'all niggas is bitches too. High roller, New Jack hustler. These are, I define things for people that are on the outside that really may not know what it is. So this is a definition of prison life. You know, whites got a thing they call white pride. Blacks got the muscle. Mexicans got the knife. You better be wise. It's not like I better be wise. It's like I'm telling you, you better be wise. You want to stay alive, go to toe with a sucker no matter what size. I'm telling people with this record, if you go in, get ready for this. This is what's going to happen. And the hook is who really has the power, the inmates or the gun tower? Which we all know the gun tower has the power.
They got the guns.
They have the power to put you in there and keep you in there and never let you out.
Yeah. And that, again, is another one of those sobering things. And to your point, that this is all describing the initial intake's the wrong word, but the intake and the indoctrination that happens that fast, that quickly, that you gotta like just totally hit a reset on your whole mentality. And that, you know, obviously Spike and other people that you know, when they've described this to you, what is it, how does that hit you?
It hits me like this is something I need to turn into music, you know? Like I have the ability to sit in front of a dope fiend and listen to them long enough to write a song as a drug addict. Like, you know, and that's what good writers can do. You're a writer. You understand that that's part of being a writer is being able to share other people's experiences, you know, and then you double back with them. You know, is this official? Is this right? Is this how it goes? And when it sounds true and it comes off real, it reaches so many people, you know. But you know, once again, it's the legend of Ice-T. You know, some people will listen to that record and be like, Ice did 10 years in the pen. And you know, me here, you know, I'm not lying, it's art. I'm making music. I'm giving you shit. Some of the shit I've been through, some of the stuff I've seen firsthand, others close people to me. And my art has always been a reflection of myself and others. But I always try to write true. I try to write it from a very honest perspective. So it's not exaggerated or glamorized. It's just the way it is or the way they see it at that time.
Pain, which is coming up next. And you know, that one again, rapping right at the top and getting locked up. But and this is the thing, fun in the beginning, pain at the end. It's the dichotomy of this life. And
Pain is Pain is the first album.
yeah, rhyme pays.
Rhyme Pace. This is my debut. So on this song, it wasn't. See, one thing about my album, even though they call it gangster rap, it wasn't all gangster rap. There was songs about sex. There was songs about this. But then on this album, you had the gangster tracks. Would it be 6 a.m? Squeeze the Trigger, and Pain. Those are the heavier records. And it's just me that's like being honest once again, Soren. You know, it's like I know that people are listening to this shit, and you know, I've always been held accountable by my boys in prison who were like, Ice, do not send nobody here. Like, and they also said, you've lived a big enough life. You ain't gotta lie about nothing. Just tell the truth. They ain't gonna believe the truth, you know? So, you know, you know, it's just a story about a guy going through all these different situations. Like in the first situation, he gets shot by his man. You know, the second situation, he's on this roll with his girl, and the feds rush in, crack his safe, and then at the end they send her to jail. The sweat of hustlers' greed is not reserved for men. So it's a message to the ladies, you know, like you hang around these motherfuckers, it can happen to you. But you know, that's a song where QB actually took some of my lyrics, because when he says, I say gold robe wearer, neighborhood terror, can't hang around my mother because she says I scare her. He says that in Natural Born Killers. So
And that's that line in particular always stuck out to me too, because in other ways you do it throughout your career, but here it's addressing this collateral damage that the life of crime does not only to you, but to your parents, your mom, your cousin, your aunt, whoever, your girl who gets incarcerated because of you, you know?
well, there is that point when you gang banging and you in that life where your parents be like, what the hell is going on? You know, they might see guns, they see all this kind of stuff. It's basically saying now I'm at this point where I've lost contact with even my family. You know, neighborhood terror can't hang around my mother because she says I scare her. I got a light sunburn from too much poolside sitting. Here's it, cordless phone. Remember that? That was a big thing.
That was a big deal.
Cordless phone keeps me on. There ain't no quitting. Mine's in a money mode. Seems like it should explode. Girlies on my jammy got a female overload. Young street messiah. Professional liar. 19, I got a Benz. 21, I'll retire. That's just that whole mentality of the hustler. So what I do is I put you in the mentality that I was in. Got it? Then I hit you with the reality of where that mentality gets you. You know, crazy money ain't funny. Suckers loving my jock, but there's some people at the door that didn't even knock. Task force booming, dog in my crib out, can't shout. FBI got a gun in my mouth. You know, like that's how quick it happens. You know, and
I think too, there is the delusion that the character's showing at the end of Pain, where he's talking back to the people that are locking him up, like, oh, I'm gonna be right back. And then he's snitching on himself, like, yo, I'm just gonna do the same thing. But he's telling the feds, the government, like, yo, I'm gonna do the same thing again.
well, he's just talking. I don't know who he's talking to, but he's just running his mouth. You know, yeah, I'm gonna be right back. But then the kicker is, yeah, I've done half my time. I only got 9 years left. Like, motherfucker, really? Like, really? You know, you haven't learned yet. But yeah, and that's a true story. That's the key to my music. I want everybody to listen to it and say, well, that's true. It's always fun in the beginning, but it's pain in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And from Pain, we get into Midnight, one of my favorite songs off of the OG album. And with that one, you open talking with Randy Mack and referencing 6 in the morning, which then, as you do, beginning of songs tie into the end of songs. So with that, with Randy Mack, I was interested because from the early in your career, you've often had different voices, but you are the different voices. So do you remember why let's have Randy Mack talking on here instead of me doing the counterpoint voices?
Because the OG album was supposed to come out as a movie first. The OG album was the first, sorry, Beyonce. It was the first music video of an entire album. Every song, every interlude, everything. That was my agenda. And my agenda with Warner Brothers was to release it on video first, like not release the record. They're a record label. They were against it. They fought it. And of course, at the end, it didn't happen. But I, being somebody always trying to do something different, wanted you to have to buy that music video to get the album. That was my plan. So I shot a video to everything. And since it was a video, the interludes had to be done by different people. And we shot that interlude of Randy sitting there asking me, to do some more criminal gangster shit. And he referred to 6 in the morning. And I said, let's go. And I did Midnight. And Midnight is just another adventure. Just starts off with us sitting at AM, PM in Evil E's BMW and about to get jacked. And we take a mad run through LA and we use real street names to the point where fans have actually driven this route, which I don't recommend.
Yeah.
Where you're going to end up is not the best part of LA. You're going to be over there in Coden on the, it's not good over there. I took you to the darkest part of the West Side, right? Coden, that street is one block that has 100 apartments on it. And if you drive down there in the summer, you won't make it down the block. The kids are just out in the street and it's just, it's a zoo over there for real, for real. I'm like, nah. But I don't really know how I write the songs because as I write a verse, I just think of the next verse and where we could go. And the trick to writing stories is details, like the little small detail. So I got the car, we get shot up, we're bleeding, Evil's bleeding, and we're on the run from these unknown guys who we actually are able to deceive by blowing Evil's car up. But now we're getting chased down by the gang task force because we went in the hood into the gang turf. We're in a Crip neighborhood with blood on our shirts. It's just bad. And yeah, it takes you right to the morning where why cops were waking me up at 6 in the morning. They were, you know, and so we connected those two.
And I always wondered too, even though these are faction stories, when people like Kenji or Evil E in the songs are getting shot, are they like, hey, Ice, let's not put that in the song? Like, how does that, like, hey, let's not put that out there.
Now, I ain't get shot, you know, I mean, a song would come up to Pray. I got Rich and Mark getting killed in the song. Nah, it's like they just want their name in the record. They just want their name in the record. And the cool thing is, like, when we perform it, we can get theatrical. Like, you know, they can go down, like we can act like it on stage, you know? So they understand the kind of art I do. And no, they don't trip off of it. You know, it's fun. It's fun to be part of the whole adventure. You know, Donald shot the dude through his fucking mouth. You know, like, you know, this is just my imagination.
The thing that kicked a lot of things off is the next song, which is 6 in the morning. And one of the things that's remarkable about this song is that it continues to live and live strong. It was recently just used on an episode of Snowfall, which I thought was remarkable. So a song you did in 86 in 2023 is still being used in, you know, a hit TV show. So why is that such a timeless record from what you can tell?
Well, I think Snowfall is about that era. You know,
Oh, it is.
Snowfall is about that era. So those songs should be played. Those were the bangers in those days with the coke and stuff. And you know, I talked to D.O.C. D.O.C. actually hit me up and said, "Hey man, you know, you in the new Snowfall," and I was like, "Dope, dope." But if you're trying to keep something chronologically correct, you got to play those songs. You got to play Batter Ram. You got to play those songs that were happening back in the 80s when shit was popping like that. I mean, 6 in the morning was a weird song because this was the introduction of me actually doing this type of music. Prior to that, I was doing like LL Cool J stuff. You Don't Quit, Dog in the Wax, this like battle rapping. And once again, Randy Mack, one of my closest friends, who actually, Randy Mack is rapping on What You Want to Do. He actually finally got on the mic in that record with all the Syndicate cats. But Mac was like, you got to rap about the bullshit you be saying, because I would say these hood rhymes, but I would never make records with them. And so we took an 808 and out came 6 in the morning, just an adventure of a cat running through LA, I think on this album it stops at the one version had the full long version. We did a long version, but this album will only stop at the original version, which stops before I go to New York and go on that rampage over that way. I did the extended version because I had to put it on my album, and we just wanted to do it a little something different. But the original version, I guess that song is kind of how would you say, it doesn't have a moral. It just
Well, yeah, it's a story. But the thing that's interesting too to me is that through all these capers and all this stuff, you say this many times as part of the chorus, didn't have time to ask. And that speaks to the urgency of the record. I think that comes through in the music, in the lyrics, in the storytelling, even though it takes place over, I guess, a decade-ish. But what is it about the urgency of not having time to ask, like when things are happening in the song?
I mean, that's how it happened. It just popped off like that. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like people had time to sit back and think about it. Another thing about that song is I rap backwards a lot. The lyrical delivery, I'm speaking backwards a lot. So it's 6 a.m, police at my door. It's not police at my door at 6 a.m. It's so 6 a.m, police at my door. Fresh Adidas, out the back window, I make my escape. Not I make my escape out the back window. So I'm rhyming backwards, like I'm saying it in a different way. So that's a different way I wrote it, you know. And
why'd you do that?
Trying to be different, trying to be creative, you know. It just sounded cooler. You know? It sounded cool. Out the back window, I make my escape. I made my escape out the back window. It does, you know, didn't get a chance to grab my mad with no music, but happy cause free. Man, it's just a different way of rhyming, you know? And the thing with that record was I was into this song. First off, it's inspired by Schoolie D, which is PSK. I said that a lot because I want people to know where I got the cadence from. From PSK to Making That Green, people always say. So I go 6 a.m, pose that my. Another song is inspired by his Beastie Boys, Hold It Now, Hit It, where it goes, hey Leroy, dun, dun, dun. Well, I chew. The record would stop and then start again. And I like that. So 6 a.m. stops. Dun, 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 word. Bam, and it takes off again. And I kind of was inspired by those two songs and the way that record was made, because not many records do that, where they stop and then start. But that song became my identity. Once I got that hit, I was like, oh, that's what they want to see? They want to hear this shit? I could do this shit forever. So it kind of opened up Pandora's box of all my past experiences and basically invented a genre. It invented a genre, which is at sometimes apolitical, rapping about the streets for a lot of people.
Yeah, and this also is one of the many 6 in the Morning is also one of the many songs on Crime Stories that you did with Africa Islam. So what in this 86, 87, 88 early part of your career, what made you guys such a great team, would you say?
Well, Islam was just a G. You know, he's day one hip hop. Day one, you know, Zulu Nation, all that. Day one. It started off as a break dancer. Crazy Legs said he learned, first person he saw breaking was Islam. Okay, so that's day one. So he understood the situation. And when I met him in LA at the radio, they were fascinated that I had money. They were fascinated. I already had a Porsche. I was already in the street. So they were like, why you want to rap? But I just knew that what I was doing had an expiration date. You know, Spike ended up finding that out, you know. So I was interested in the music. I didn't, no one had ever bought a car making music yet, as far as hip hop. Running Them hadn't blew up yet. But he just found some type of fun in working with somebody out of New York. it was a challenge to him. Like, okay, all these New York rappers see that I'm gonna work with an LA cat. And honestly, Africa Islam should get credit for helping to break the West Coast as a New Yorker by helping me. Look at it. Bomb Squad helped in Q. They helped Q when Q went solo. So New York put out that hand. They extended that laurel wreath. You know, all that hate from West Coast, East Coast. No, the New York side did come and help us get
Well,
through.
and on top of that, another, I'd say the three early examples of this that are the most important are Ryan Pays, America's Most Wanted, but then people forget Bigger and Deffer with LL with LA Posse. I mean,
That
that's
was LA connecting to New York.
exactly.
So there was people, you know, that were bigger than the East Coast, West Coast stuff, which I always say was all pushed by the press anyway. Because LA cats really loved New York rap. We had to. There was no other rap. So we grew up on Curtis Blow and everybody. We
Well,
wasn't rap.
well, that's something I should have mentioned in Midnight is the 9mm Goes Bang with Boogie Down Productions in Midnight. So there's another reference.
And another reference is Take You on a Walk Through Hell, which is Rakim.
Freeze your dome.
Watch your
Watch your
eyeballs.
eyeballs swell.
Right. So I never had a problem connecting with New York because I know that's the home of hip hop.
Right.
So I was like, but I had to just put my swing on it, being from LA, that, 6 in the morning was it. And 6 in the morning was one of the first records to ever get played in New York City from a West Coast artist. And I went out there and performed it. Scott LaRock was spinning it. Rest in peace, Red Alert, Chuck Chill Out. They spun that record at the Latin Quarter, Union Square. So, we was coming through the door.
Well, didn't I remember you had told me one time over the years that Africa Islam actually told you that you needed to go to New York to get that stamp from the New York DJs to have them play it even more.
Well, absolutely, because they had never heard the gangster shit. Nobody was doing it out there. They had a group out there called Mob Style that came out later. Of course, you had Coogee Rap, you had KRS and them, but what I was doing was still a little bit more harsh. And he was like, they're not gonna believe you. They think LA is palm trees. This is before colors, this is before gangs. So New York had a feeling like they were the only hard place. And he was like, you got to come out there and let them meet you and see you. And I had a perm and everything. I came out there, my feeler and all that. And they were like, this nigga's different, But then they feel my energy. And once they understood that I was talking real shit, they co-signed it. Of course, New York didn't want to co-sign no goofy motherfucker like lying about some shit. So once they co-signed me, we didn't have no problems.
That's How I'm Living, which, as I've gotten to know you over the years, as I've talked to you and talked to George and the different members of the syndicate, when I first was hearing that on the Home Invasion album, I didn't realize how true to life that story that you tell on That's How I'm Living was. And that could be its own audio book for you in a lot of ways.
It's just, it's a biographical story of my life. And it explains, I was born in New Jersey. I said it before, but I guess nobody heard me. And it explains how my parents passed, how I moved to LA. I got bused to a high school, a white high school in Culver City called Palms. Moved over to Crenshaw High School, got connected to the gangs, learned about the gangs, wanted to get into the pimp game. All these different things happened in my life. And it just takes you on a walk through my life, like you said, Soren, to at the end where I've changed my life. I put down the gun, picked up the mic. But, it has a nice catch at the end of the song, which says, don't get it fucked up. Even though I've changed, I'm still Ice-T. And I think the best line on that song, and the cops hate me more now. When I was in the streets, you could just write me off as, hey, they're just a street criminal. But now that I've made it legit, it really bothers them. It really bothers them. So yeah, that's how we open up, with something that's autobiographical. That's how I'm living.
Yeah, and that one in particular, as we'll get to a lot of crime stories, the flow on that is very precise, almost like talking. So as you're crafting, as you're coming up with your different flows over the years, with that one in particular, do you remember why you approached it that way?
I think the trick to being a solo rapper for me is never to always rap the same way. Is to, sometimes I'm hype and I'm yelling, sometimes I'm in the cut, I'm low key, sometimes I'm being kind of sarcastic, but that's what would always burn me out with certain rappers is that I'm listening to the same exact cadence, the same exact thing. So I always made it a point to try to switch cadence, switch style. I think that's how I'm living is just supposed to sound dead serious. It's
All right.
supposed to be dead serious versus rapping where you're all around and you're vibing and this, that, and the third. No, this is I was born in New Jersey. It's almost like the video to that song. It's like I'm doing a testimony in an interrogation room, so I'm breaking down who the hell I am.
As I was thinking about it, preparing to discuss crime stories, I thought that where the shit goes down is also like a precursor or a inspiration that kind of sets up the trilogy that you had recently, even though it came way earlier.
Yeah, where the shit goes down is I think shit. What album is that on? That's on Home Invasion.
Return of the Real.
That's on Return to Real. So that came after Home Invasion. Don't get mad at me because there's so many records. I don't know, but that's why I got fans because y'all keep me in check. But um, that was done with E.A.Ski,
Yeah.
produced by E.A.Ski, one of the greatest producers from the West Coast. Works with
CMT
huh?
and CMT as well.
CMT, works with Cube. He's like the Bay Area Dre. And I got with him, and he just made me this. The cool thing about producers is they understand what you're doing. Like they listen to it and they go, "Oh, this is a movie." So where the shit goes down is just another drama. Now the crime stories are all over the place. They're not in any particular way, but in any order, but they're just different ideas. And that song was just about a guy. That's an active record. That record, there is no moral to the end. It's just an active record. It's about a guy who's rolling. I had 5 cars, now I only got one. It's hard to keep it balling when you're on the run. I got a bitch in jail. She didn't snitch and did 3. I'm gonna have to roll solo till they set her free. I got some other crimies down true G's, but they got all day. So now it's just me. That's life. When we say in jail, when you got time, you say he got all day, cuz that's so. You know, um, and it's one of those songs. It's kind of like the way I created it. I had 2 keys in my trunk and a shovel. I stepped on them once, so now I got double. The shovel for drama, need I say more? Then later on in the end of the song, the shovel comes back into play. So it's kind of a clever way of using an intro to a song to connect to the end. But that's just a gangster record. That's just some guys out selling drugs. They run into some cat who is a DEA agent and they put him away, you know? But I think that also the song is like saying, hey, I know about everybody else's place, but this is where I deal with. This is South Central LA. And the actual hook came from Cam. I low ride and I low ride and I sag and bust. I cover my face with a rag and bust. I want to, yeah. I low ride, I sag and cuss. I cover my face with a rag and bust. That came from Cam. Cam said that in the record. I'm like, oh, that shit is fire right there. So I called Cam up. I said, man, I need to use this. He said, go on, OG, you got that. You know? But it was the perfect hook for that song where the shit goes down. That's just the life in LA.
Yeah.
That's a criminal. That's all that record is.
And on the paranoia theme again, on there you're talking about being a light sleeper and all these different things. And that's the thing that I've always loved and appreciated about your work is those little details of throwing in, like, everybody talks about what's going on during the day or at night when you're pulling these missions, but it's like you're thinking about that I can't sleep or I'm a light sleeper now because of the dirt that I'm doing.
Now I rest with my finger on my trigger, hand on my beeper, a light sleeper. Definitely. I mean, like I said in OG, that invincible shit don't work. I don't know what the fuck you talking about if you're not saying you're worried. But yeah, that's all that is. That record is a night of a hustler in the streets.
Addicted to danger. So with that, that one has a very interesting reveal and twist at the end. So since that's a very dramatic twist, do you remember the initial concept or thought or why you came up with that? Because that was wild.
Nah, you know, when I start writing these songs, especially the story songs, they just start to come out. And, you know, I always like to bring back something from the beginning, you know, of the song. So, you know, I'm talking about sitting that record that people weren't hip to, like way ahead of the time. Damn, how to get into this scam, rolling a car with a trunk worth 500 grand. I came up from the curb, worse, first slinging rocks. Now my ride's packed with crazy birds. I got a freak in the front seat. She got crazy game, might even have more than me. So that means I got a bitch that might be slicker than me. That's why I don't trust her. I ain't no buster, one wrong move, and I'll dust her. But she knows that. Keeps a gap, works much plastic. I'm talking about credit card scams. Way back.
Yeah.
Working plastic, you know, always stays on fat, meaning she keeps money. She says she loves me, looks deep in my eyes, sometimes cries, all lies. She only loves my cash flow long dough, the false love of a pimp and a hoe. You know, so I know this chick is scandalous, but in this song, Addicted to Danger, I'm trying to get these drugs to the crew. And the meetup spot is the Snooty Fox. Now, in the middle of the song, I retrospect and I start thinking about myself, you know, like, am I suicidal? Do I want to die? Like, why am I in this world? And then it jumps back to the drug deal. And when we get there, there's cops all over the fucking place. I somehow make it out of there, get to the hotel room, kick it with this bitch, and dear God, what you know, the drama was even there with her. You won't give away, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's just, you know, an iced tea adventure, man. You know, and how many guys have been involved with somebody in their crew and it was the police?
Right.
You
And
know,
also on Addicted to Danger, I thought it was interesting because you talk about the pure ghetto anger and you repeat that line multiple times before you keep going in the song. So what do you remember why you repeated it so dramatically?
I think I think I think the ghetto anger is part of the criminal mentality, which is life didn't really give me a chance and I'm mad. And I know being an orphan and being out there, I kind of felt at times like, why in the fuck am I in this position? And I was kind of mad at other people that had good lives and families and shit like that. And I felt this is all that I got. So this is what turns you into that kind of a monster. Um, you know, and I start to enjoy the shit, you know. So it's the confusion of you know, some nights I crash clubs, rolling with a posse made of well-known thugs. It's like, why am I? It's kind of like in the song he's questioning himself, like, why in the fuck am I doing this shit? You know, and I think a lot of kids out there and people are addicted to danger. They're addicted to the adrenaline rush of that energy. And I don't think happy people do that.
No, they get their release in other ways.
Right.
Moving on to the fifth on man, that's another one from Return of the Real that I thought was pretty powerful, talking about how one of the other things people I think underestimate is playing off of Soul and Ice. Like you're in this for life. And that I think is something that when people there's that point maybe when they get into this world where they don't realize like, oops, I'm too far gone.
Yeah, Fifth is one of my favorites. Fifth is has a legendary "the syndicate does not exist," and we took that from the mob, where the mob would say there is no such thing as the mafia. You know, the mafia. What the mafia? They denied the existence of La Cosa Nostra for so long. You know, I think Valachi was the first person that came out and really said that they existed, even though the cops did. So we played off that. You know, you're joining the mob. The syndicate is the mob. Who is this? You know, don't ever talk about us. And still today, even if I'm on social media and I write syndicate, people like the syndicate does not exist. So it kind of gave us a understanding of being a shadow organization that we knew who we were, but we would never claim ownership of. But in the song, The Fifth, we got a guy who wants to get involved. And the gangsters telling them, blood flows like sands of the hourglass. Cash moves everything. Bitches and G-strings. Gats flash and muggers make cream on a stick move. Improve your dope flow. Come match the long dough. High rolling, back breaking plot diggers. The ill niggas, Comanche style. Blood letting weapons of death. Stop your breath. Like he's just letting you know, you're coming into this game. You want to be a made man? The fam accepts no mistakes. Chop the bodies, lots of funeral wakes. Make your bones, bring a rat back dead just ahead. The cops better use this Beretta. So this is Welcome to the Game. And in the song, I just take you through all the crime shit that's going on in our organization. And in the middle of this song, I do a movie skit, which was kind of unique. Like I got the guy who's been talking to the feds and I whack him in the middle of the song. Has nothing to do with the song. It's like, this is the life you're in, And on this song, I'm also talking about things way ahead of time, I'm talking about a lot of shit, about killing informants, crazy shit.
Well, this also made me think of the trilogy in Feds in My Rear View, because you got that part where you're talking about going to Aspen. So it's like this out of town activity. I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah. Cops, I'm gonna take, I got moves to make. Feds ain't that easy. I still got them to shake. They had my man's bitch wired for a month and a half. Like they had her wired and snatched my nigga up in Aspen, bails $5 million. We bounced him out in an hour. We got him out in an hour, power, went and made him hit and killed him. Like who bails somebody out and kills him? Went and met him quick, hit him with an ice pick. Can't take no chances. He romances with whores. No telling what he spilt when behind closed doors. So it's definitely stepping into the realm of the criminal world record. And, motherfucker, now you're down for life. You rat on the fan, we'll kill your wife. So yeah, gangster record. Who is this? The syndicate is not as this. It's basically welcome to the crime world.
Retaliation. And on this record, I thought it was interesting because you're talking about, you hear all this stuff, but when it happens to you, like, what are you going to do when you lose somebody? And that, I think, is another one of those layers. And even though it's a detail, you extrapolate it onto a whole song. And
yeah, well, retaliation is a real question. Like, what would you do if they killed your best friend? Could you keep it cool? Would the wounds mend? And I always say, in real life, this is not faction. I always say if somebody shot me, my last words wouldn't be peace, it would be get those motherfuckers. You dig? So it's a big question, So in this song, Ice is trying to figure out, what is he gonna do? Somebody shot his boy. And his crew is now going in motion. And it's not even only about him, it's about the way his crew is reacting to it.
And one of the details that I thought was so crazy is when you're talking about how the dudes are too high to load their ammo. I was like, I've seen not that exact thing, but I've seen similar things where I was like, wait a minute, you're high and you're about to go ride on somebody, or you're like, what? Like,
I say, out of sawed-off riot pumps lay across the bed. They said my militia wouldn't strike back. Mac 10, 11, 12s hit us in them pussies to hell. They started it. There's no way to mend it. We'll end it. My crew hit the mattresses. That's from Godfather. Remember in The Godfather where they break out the mattresses? Like,
oh, yeah.
nobody gets to go home right now. We're at war. My crew hits the mattresses, G.O.D. father style, all prepared to get buck wild. Half my niggas ball. Other half ain't got it all. They stay up at night waiting on a combat call, drinking hard liquor, smoking mad loot, which is dust and shit. So high, sometimes I even got to load their clips. I always say, you know, all of us keep a group of friends that you can't invite nowhere. That's that extra level of crew. I got ballers. Even today, I got niggas I can't invite everywhere. They'll eat the furniture. Like they don't really, they just are waiting on that combat call. You know, that's the other half, you know. Sometimes I even got to load their clips. I ain't mad at them though. They dumps the ammo in you, suspend you in air. Hell yeah. So, and that song is really saying certain cats really live for the retaliation. Like that's what we're here for. That's what we built for. One of my other favorite lyrics in it is when I say, I've been packing straps so long, I got a fucking bruise in my leg. Better that than dead. That's true.
Wow.
That's true. For one point in time, I carried it. I carried guns so long, I had a bruise on my hip. You
That's
know, and I said I got a motherfucking bruise in my leg. Better that than dead. Now it's time to show you what I'm trained for in this. You know, that's to me. This is one of my most like intense aggressive songs. You know, you must have not have known who you fucking hit that day. You know, maybe you did. You're dying anyway. You know, not just you, some of your family. To tell the truth, any fucking body we see. And this is the mentality of the retaliator. You know, and you know, they say if you're smart, you probably make a break out of state. Would have snatch your kid, grab your fucking bitch and wait, or catch you down south, lay your ass out straight. There's nowhere to run. It's time to meet your mate. You got one chance. Arm your whole damn crew. I couldn't stop my fucking niggas if I wanted to. Woo!
Yeah, that's powerful. And another shout out to the East Coast having the Prodigy sample on that from Mobb Deep. So
Prodigy has always, you know, been really my favorite lyricist. And you know, I've always admired Prodigy for being able to rap, but not complicated. I see is I want you to understand everything I'm saying. If you can't hear what I'm saying, can you hear what I'm saying? So
right.
I'm not trying to overcomplicate the lyrics or nothing. I want you to understand it just like a conversation. It's going to have rap skills built in, but not so much that you can't follow what I intend you to get out of the song. And Prodigy was one of the best at that, as far as in the gangster lane, especially Havoc and him. To me, Havoc and Prodigy rap identical. Like when you hear them, it's very difficult to tell who's rapping. And that's made a hardcore group. Mobb Deep is my favorite group.
They're phenomenal. Also, with the retaliation, another thing I liked about how you talked about there's no innocence allowed in the ghetto streets. And I think that's a very sobering statement, but also very powerful. Um, this lack of innocence that exists to a lot of people in a lot of scenarios.
There's no innocence allowed in these ghetto streets. Grab your guns, buck them off when you hit your leak. Um, I think what I'm saying in that is that at this point, At this point, it's more like war. And there will be casualties, there will be collateral damage, but you know, when like when in the murder scene, I said I ran over to him, put my hand on his chest, hold like an apple in the side of his neck, his eyes glassed up, his body jerked once more. There's nothing left to do but to go to war. It's kind of like when this type of situation happens in the hood, these kids are on automatic pilot if they real about it, you know? And you need to just stay out the way. Cause ain't nobody innocent at this point. They want, that's why I say you might just want to turn yourself into me to save your hood the pain of my crew's treachery. It's like now it's about to happen. So how are you going to handle it?
Yeah, that's a tough record, man. It's what they want me back in. You got Rich on there as well.
Yeah.
Dealing with drama with dudes from the other side. You got the Method Man sample on there. So throughout Crime Stories, you don't have a lot of collaborations, which so many rappers are, I don't want to say rely on, but they utilize so much. This is a rare instance of that, not only on the song or this album, Crime Stories, but throughout your career. So why would They Want Me Back In? Did you want Rich on there like that?
Rich was in the studio. I I never really reached outside of the cats that were in the studio to rap. If you happen to be in the studio when I made a record, then we probably gonna do a record. But I do solo albums. I don't feature on my own records. Even with Body Count right now, we finishing the album up. We don't have our features on there yet. We do the album first, and then we figure out, oh well, maybe this cat might want to jump on this track or whatever. They're almost like the remix versions. You feel me? It's not like I'm gonna go out and just. I do that when I feature on other people's records. Like when I come on a RJ Payne record or something, it's like, Ice, give me 16 bars, 12 bars. That's that. But when I'm doing my album, no, I'm not a featured hungry guy. So Rich is just one of my player buddies. Rich and me was out hustling, stealing jewelry together. Rich is Spike's cousin.
Hmm.
So Rich is in the book. So Rich was the one that got away when they arrested the fucking Harlem Globetrotters. Rich is a G. So Rich is in the studio with me, and we just started making this record. Want Me Back In comes from Godfather Part 3, where Michael is like saying, I kept bringing me out. They keep bringing me back in. So we come up with the concept of you didn't have to do it. Like, if they think you did it, Soren, then you just as well did it. Like they think you did it. Now you got to deal with that. So it's niggas talking crazy because they say that I killed one of they motherfuckers, suck ass busters. Did or did not. I got drama with the niggas from the other side. So it's kind of like they coming because they feel I did it. And that's the whole song. The song is just basically me getting ready for these guys to roll on us. We're not rolling on them. They're going to roll on us. And I called some people. There's one lyric in there that I hate. I don't hate, but there's a lyric in there I hate. I bet you know which one it is.
Well, I don't want to say the wrong one. So what is it?
I packed 20 motherfuckers in the Astro van. There's no way 20 motherfuckers can fit in an Astro van.
I had a question. I thought it was 10 max probably, but I always wondered about that.
Well, you know what it was? It was supposed to be plural. I packed 20
Astro vans?
Yes.
Okay, that makes more sense.
But that's not the way it went in the record, and I never caught it. It was written Astro Vans, but it says van. I hate it when I hear it. I'm like, oh, nigga, 20 motherfuckers can't fit in the Astro Van. All right, but anyway, it was not intended that now everybody can find that on my song and call me out for making up some bullshit. It's impossible, but it was supposed to be Vans. Okay, anyway. Basically, it's a gunfight, blah, blah, whatever. I go home and go back to sleep. And that's They Want Me Back In, You know, I got no love for some niggas tripping, flipping on my fam. Goddamn, I make LA hot as Vietnam. But ill niggas should be left alone. Please excuse me while I rest my dome. So it starts off with me being asleep, and it ends up with me going back to sleep after dealing with this drama. You know, and we got the Method Man hook that just fit the song perfect.
Yeah. And that's another DJ Ace collaboration. And he's done a lot of your records here on crime stories. So he obviously brings a different element than Africa Islam did earlier in your career. So what is it about your relationship and what Ace brings to the table musically that you think works so well for you at this point in your career?
Ace is dope. Ace had a group called Rhyme Poetic Mafia back in the day, one of the first early Mexican hardcore groups. And we just became really close friends. And Ace just was, he produced a lot of, not Seventh Deadly Sin, but he produced, oh no, Seventh Deadly Sin. And he came in right around OG time, but he worked on Seventh Deadly Sin and Home Invasion and on Ice-T6 Return to Real. He just understands me. He knows how to make records for me. Right now, he's working with Sin Dog. He worked with Cypress and them, but he understands how to do cinematic music.
Hmm.
And a lot of producers just want to give me beats, but he knows what tracks work for me. So he's always sending me tracks. I mean, when you listen to we already went past it, but when you listen to the hanging, you already feel like you're on the run. So he understands how to match the music with the subject matter very well. Incredible producer.
And then we get to Common Sense, uh, which is a very different record. You got shout out to Frost on the intro that, but talking about greed in particular, which Seven Deadly Sin coming from that album, it's also a Seven Deadly Sin. But why is greed such a powerful force for people, do you think?
It's addicting. You know, you got to know when to push away from that table when you're winning. You got to stop. You know, you got to know. You can't just keep upping the ante. And Common Sense was made by Bobby Ross Avila, DJ Ace. Once again, I had the rap, and they listened to it. They say, "Oh, this is a movie." Once again, so in comes the strings, in comes the harps and the bells, and to me, if I was going to make a movie out of any of the records, Common Sense would be the movie, because you know it starts out with a heroin deal, Colombians, and your boy lets off with your boy got off with a Desert Eagle. He gets hit. You know, you bail him from that drug deal. You know, you look at him, you thought he only got hit once, but he's hit twice. He looks at you, get the money, man, and he dies. You call up your girl, tell her to wet some towels up so you can clean the car up, then you kill her. So you ain't got no more witnesses. Then you got to hook up with the Mexicans who try to set you up in a parking lot because they say they would flip the boy for girl. So it's time to hook up with the Mexicanos. They said they would flip the boy for girl up the weight. So the boy is heroin, the girl is coke. They're gonna flip it and give you up the weight, give you more coke than the heroin's worth. But now when you get to the parking lot, they got somebody laying back to jack you. You get your silence on. You get them, then you rock them because they was trying to get you. Now you got 30 keys. You got girl and the pony. You got 20 keys of uncut pure cab, which is coke. You got that. You got the horse. You know, but the line in that record, the street time is the street life is what you want, and now you got it. The devil put the strap in your palm and you shot it. So this is the life, you know, it's going down now on forever. Square life is never. But wilding is your lifestyle. You know, this is the guy that just wants to keep getting more. Then he makes a mistake and picks up a hooker who basically blows his head off. And What I say, street life sabotage. Niggas want to live large. A demon hoe out for cheddar, capture with your own Beretta. So once again, I'm here to tell you that the stories don't end well. Like no matter how good it seems, it's gonna go bad because everybody is criminal out there, you know. In feds in my rear view, I say they'll set up their mother. So when you step into this world, there's not a safe moment. And yeah, common sense will keep you safe and invest.
And I thought one of the powerful lines on there too is like how you're talking about the guy he was so ruthless, he didn't have anybody to split the money with or to enjoy it with. It's very lonely.
No, he didn't care. He didn't care. He says at the beginning, he goes, thought of him once, but he must have got double clapped. Your nigga's dying, but he ain't crying. Soldier, no doubt. He looked you dead in the eyes to get that money and checked out. Ballin bent him back in the black STS, but where he's going, no stress. But here, your nigga's dead, but you thinking about head. Like he don't care, fly hoes and condos. Once you flip the kilos, the fact your niggas out ain't shit to you. More profit for your greedy ass. No one to split the grip with you. He don't give a fuck. He's like almost happy his niggas dying. So that's why he's greedy. Your niggas dying, but you ain't crying. Soldier, no doubt, looks you dead in the eye, said, get that money. He looked over, said, get the money, man, and checked out. Ballin' bit the back in black, SCS, where you going, no stress. Your nigga's dead, but you're thinking about head. Who the fuck is you? Your nigga's dead, but you thinking about head. Fly hoes and condos once you flip the kilos. The fact your niggas out ain't shit to you. More profit for your greedy ass. No one to split the grip with you. You flip your chip Motorola, call your hooker. Said you had a little foul up. Told her hoe to wet some towels up. She didn't even talk, click the phone off. You might have knew some weak niggas, but this bitch ain't soft. So it's like you're in this life and you're rolling and you're killing and you're wilding. And then, you know, at the end, you know, you fucking fell asleep. Bad move. Big game takes little game.
That's how I'm living. Yes, yes, yes. The song Pray. That one I thought was interesting because it documents and details a character that, you know, doesn't want dramas, just going out. They just want to live and have fun and go out for drinks, but then they end up getting shot. So it's the catching up. The karma catches them.
Well, Pray's on the last album, Gangster Rap album, and Pray is actually written from a real incident. Not a murder and stuff, but we were out at a club, me and Coco were in a club in New York City, and we were dancing. She was dancing. The way the real story went, and these guys wanted to sit with us. They seen Coco and her girlfriends. They thought they were just some chicks. And they was like, yo, we could take these chicks someplace. And we were like, chill. And we made them leave the booth. And motherfuckers threw a glass at us, like a glass of whatever, and it hit Coco in the head. Of course, violence ensued, and you know, blah blah blah, whatever. But that was the idea for the song, you know. So in the song "Pray," we go out to have some fun, and these guys want to argue with us over the table. Now that's what happened to Puffy and J-Lo. When Puffy and J-Lo got into some shit, they showed up at a club. They moved cats out of a booth that had already bought the bottles and shit, but because it was Puff and then moved, and that insulted these cats. And that's where the shit ended up happening. The guy threw the money at Puffy and da-di-da-di-da, and Shine let off. So I come up with this idea, what if I go in the club and these guys want to fight? Next thing you know, we get in a fight with these cats and Blaze hits them with the razor and they start shooting. Oh shit, you know. So, but just like 6 a.m, no time to pray. Like this is a situation and everything is happening, and I bail out the back of the club, and I like the line fall off in the cut like a video game. Everybody that's made the door my frame. Everybody just stepped out, that body got flamed. I knew I was bleeding, I could feel the pain. Um, just the details, running through the parking lot, Coco broke a heel. You know, like this is the kind of shit that happens. And it's just a fucked up story. I think in that story, it's like I'm taking L's left and right. I'm shot. My boys are dead. I'm running. I don't even know how the fuck I got into this bullshit. You know, it's just one of those nights. It's a bad fucking night for ICE.
Yes. Well, thankfully the faction is there.
Fact of yeah, thankfully, you know. But you know, the thing of it is like as a rapper, if everything's gonna be honestly all about you, let's put it like this. Ain't no way a rapper could rap and everything be absolutely about him. It would be boring as fuck. You know what I'm saying? So even when you battle rapping, you know, you're rapping about, you know, I got a gun as long as a street light. You know, like the metaphors and shit is always legendary and outrageous. So putting this in the story form, it's only right because that's how they make movies. You know what I'm saying? They take a real incident and they take it into turn it into action-packed shit. So yeah, pray is a scene in a movie that could happen. It would be bad.
A different level of the game is on Hit the Fan, where you kind of back to these girls, man. They always getting you in trouble, Ice.
The shit at the fan was a very interesting record because it has a lyric in it where I say I got a girl at home, and I did have a girl at home when I wrote the record. So she was listening to this record like, how true is this record? I'm like, oh, this is fiction. I make this stuff up. But it was a weird, my mind started to flip, trip, roll, and roam. What about my girl who's asleep at home? But before I could lock it on that thought, it's just about me going out and meeting this bad bitch. She takes me to her house, in the beach house. She owned a restaurant and everything, and blew my mind. Gave me a watch. We fucked all weekend, and then she left me. She left me. At the end, I'm like kind of heartbroken. Like, yo, she left town with some fly guy. She's on some island drinking daiquiris and mai tais, but she left me the keys to the beach house in case the shit hits the fan again. And it's one of those funny stories where I'm telling the story, but Shawnee Sean is like, come on, man, tell me that story. It's like I'm getting him turned on by the story. He's like, come on, man, kick it, baby. I know this how this happens. You tripping? And that's a real situation when you're telling the story. Your homie's like, nah, don't stop there, baby. Come on, bring it to me. But yeah, it's a story where I meet a girl who's much more of a player than me. And she gave me a fun night and kind of left me open a little bit at the end too. Girls are like that record.
So how many women would you say in general you've met or know of that are of that caliber or magnitude?
They're rare, but you know, there's a lot of chicks walking around that really think they on that level, but you know, the guy has to really size them up and be like, yo, this chick is very dangerous. Like, I gotta watch this chick. I mean, nowadays, all these chicks think they Cardi B. You know, they think they, you know, fuck them, then I get some money. You know, they on some next level shit. In my days, there would now and then you'd run into some real player chicks. They were probably ex-drug dealer girls or somebody. But one thing about women is they cross-reference you with every other dude they ever been with. So if you come in and your hand is weak, and they like, damn, Soren, my last dude was, he wouldn't have let me say that. You see what I'm saying? They check you across. So you sometimes you need to really know what your girl's body count is and who she actually been with before you. You know, because he might have been on a higher caliber, and then you're at definitely not in a good place.
You're operating at a disadvantage. That's for sure.
Real disadvantage, especially if he was a real hardcore player, you know. But shit at the fan is just, you know, a player's adventure out there, you know, running into some chick, takes him out. You know, it really is a female one night stand record, but she's doing the one night stand,
Right.
not me.
Yeah, it's the flip of it all.
And you know, one thing about me is I always would take records, like whatever song there is, I would always say there's a B-side to it. So if I sing Baby Don't Leave Me, there's another song called It's Better Since You're Gone. See what I'm saying? So a lot of times with Ice-T, what I'll do is I'll flip the situation like I did in Shit Hit the Fan.
And Check Your Heart, which is the next song on Crime Stories.
Yeah, now Check Your Heart is a very personal record because Check Your Heart came right after I got robbed and I was mad. And in that song, we get a phone call because the person that robbed me had been identified. And it was kind of like a real record. It was kind of like a real record. Now, I'm 100% about not dealing with real shit with music. I think that's corny too. So it wasn't like I'm sending this out to somebody or whatever. That's whack too. I always think, you know, if we rap and we rap about it, if we got a real issue, we shouldn't even be on social media. We should get on the phone. We should handle it. But after I went through that experience of having, you know, a friend of mine set me up, that's where all the emotion and all the attitude for Check Your Heart comes from, because that's really how I was feeling at the time. And that's why we bleeped the name record, because it was like, well, if we put the name in it, it is actually is a threat. So we'll take it out and we'll just make it and dedicate it to all my friends, you know, because yeah, that's a hardcore record right there.
Well, you can feel, I think you can feel it a lot of times on your records, but that one I did feel like a different level of I guess disappointment and pain in a way.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is, Soren. You know, to tell the fucking truth, I thought your crew was fly. You know, now you talking that shit like a bitch on a rag. Don't give a fuck about your set or the pants you sag. You know, like it is disappointment, and in real life it was disappointment. You know, but you know, it's kind of like also like, you know me, dude. You know what I'm capable of. You already know. So you really are tripping. So let's see, you know, like at the end of it, I say, you fucking with the illest fool in Southern California. I can roll with you or motherfucker on you. So I think the worst crime is betrayal, because there's no defense for betrayal, you know, but it hurts the hardest. It hurts the worst. And so I guess the question in that song is, well, what are we finna do? Are we finna do this or not? If this is what you want to do, let's get it going. But you know,
which ties back to retaliation and common sense.
I think the key to writing good music is really hitting emotions that other people have that they can ID with. If it's too much of a singular emotion, it won't resonate. People will just be like, "What are you talking about?" So, you know, it's like I'm writing a song right now with Body Count called "I Slaves," which is about being a slave to the phone. And I think all of us are in that place. So if you write from that perspective, you'll get a lot of people say, "Oh, yo, that's me." So Check Your Heart. I think all of us has been in a situation where you're like, "Are we really finna go here? Is this what you want?" You know? And you know, I never back down. It ain't no time to start. Let's see what it is. Let's go if that's what you want.
You Got Me Open, Girl.
I always would do records for girls, you know, because of course Ice-T had a little player in him, always little hustling and playing. But I never really felt they fed on my records, you know. So a couple of the songs here are unreleased records, and this is one of them. Got Me Open, Girl is just, you know, a real fly record. The music is done by Mad Rome, who is an incredible musician. Gave me a whole vibe. You know, the music is not normal hip hop. It's a lot of different. It's lots of instruments and vibes, and it's just Ice-T going out to the club, knocking his chick, who really is after him. You know, said every other man she ever had in life thought it was me. You know, and she don't care if she got to be with a crew. So it's kind of like the player going out and meeting his match and questioning himself, like, wow, could I fall in love with you? This ain't the game players play. We don't really play this game, but this chick was coming at me with everything I needed. Uh, she cooked breakfast butt naked, and then she told me the truth. She said, this is where I wanted to be since my youth. Every other man I had in my life thought he was you, and I don't care if I got to be with a crew. I'm like, what? Like, who is this bitch? So it's a fun record, and the girl on it is named Medina. She worked with us with SMG back in the day. She rapped on the SMG album, and it's just a fun record. I think the ladies that delve into this album are going to really enjoy a few of these songs, because it's not really me over-empowering chicks. It's more about the women overpowering me.
Yeah, that's speaking of recurring themes, that happens multiple times throughout crime stories and your music.
Well, I think it's corny. I think it's corny to always, you the tough guy, and the women submit to you and this, that, and the third. I think it's more fly to, them to find that weak spot. And in real life, man, women are a lot of times the downfalls of the players, the downfall, you're not paying attention, and in this particular record, this chick just has me open, and that just means, man, she's got me gullible right now. I mean, I don't know. I'm losing control. That's what they call when you fall in love. You like, damn, man, I'm falling, man. Like, what's really going on right now? So I think that's, I'm gonna take a chance, like you did the very first night. This could last another week, maybe last for life. You can end up my home girl or maybe my wife. I don't know. You got me open though, So a lot of times we say that, we like, Soren, man, homegirl got you open, huh? You like, yeah, man, I like her. I wasn't prepared for this, man, and that's a good feeling.
And on top of that too, it's the thing that's interesting about it is, in a lot of the records, there's the paranoia, but there's also this utmost confidence. And on You Got Me Open Girl and a lot of these other songs, it's this doubt that creeps in, that directs you somewhat.
One of the fun parts of that record, one of my favorite lines in the record, is such a small line, but I say, crack the rope to the VIP and there you are. It was filled with frontin' suckers. I'm a big rap star. They was buying Cristal, talking about their cars. See my crew and step back because they know who we are. I made my move to your booth, locked eyes again. I seen the little move when you kick the foot of your friend. And how many times, chicks do, oh, here he come, and that kind of, I said, my name is Ice. And asked you where your man. She said at home. I said, let's keep it like that if we can, So it's meant to be a very player conversation, but she's just on top of it as much as me, It was very balanced. And yeah, it's a fun record.
The first part of the trilogy that you actually released was The Feds in My Rear View, which to me, when I was first hearing it, shout out to George, he had sent it to me before it came out, so I heard it when it wasn't out yet. But then when I saw people's reaction and they were really understanding that you were still in your prime as a writer, I wanted you to explain the ability that you've had since the 80s and being able to translate that into the 2010s, 2020s, to not lose that perspective that enables you to write the way that you do. What is it?
I really don't know, man. I listen to other rappers, people that inspire me. Like I like certain things. So when I hear new cats with different types of styles, like I'm a fan of Rock Marcy. I'm a fan of different cats that got different ways of bringing it. So I get inspired, but really you get the right beat and you get in the right state of mind. Rapping is very interesting. Like I can go weeks and months where I can't write shit. And then I can sit down with the right beat and damn near write a whole album. It just starts to flow. You're a writer. You understand that. It's something where you get into a groove and it just starts coming. And then other times you just can't write shit. Like your brain just has to get there. Feds in My Rear View is another record that's based on continuance of the paranoia. 800 G's cash in the bedspread. Fucking plug went left. Now a Fed's dead. It's like this shit is going in this kind of way, and it's crazy. So in Feds in My Rear View, I actually had to kill the kid that crossed me. And in the first song, I go out in the video. They pull him out of a trunk, and I give it to him. But the cops are definitely on me at this point because now I've been ratted out. So now I don't know what's going on. And the Feds in My Rear View, it's just kind of like me taking you through that world of being in that life, going to Vegas, I copped 10,000 tabs of E, this, that, we got weed moving this way, we got this going that way, got to go to Miami, meet with some cartel motherfuckers. So now you're in that life. That's showing the activity of this particular guy, knowing that he's being watched. And that was produced by DJ Ace. And I kind of got a Wu-Tang sound to it, the track. But also, if you notice, I rap different. I rap different from the first song to the second song to the third song, which is part of my thing.
The Hanging is the final part of the trilogy. So first of all, as we get to this song, did you always imagine it as a trilogy? And did you always imagine The Hanging being the last installment?
Yeah, because see, what it was I wasn't going to do an album, but I figured I could do this and keep my rap fans happy, like drop songs in a row. And I always try to be creative. I just don't want to drop a song for the sake of a song. I do a lot of features with people, but for me, I like to have an agenda. So there was this, the saying, the catching comes before the hanging. That's from the Wild Wild West. The old school gangsters, the motherfuckers was like, nah, like, and me and my player buddies, we used to always say that. We used to say, they got to catch me first. I'm not turning myself in. I'm not cuffing up. I got a passport. I'll be in Brazil. Like, I'm the fuck out of here. I don't understand that shit. So that was our whole theory. So in The Hanging, what happens is that we haven't shot the Hanging video. What happened, the hold up with The Hanging happened because of COVID. And we was getting ready to shoot the video for it so that we'd have the 3 pieces, and COVID hit and shut us down. So I still have to shoot the video for The Hanging. But if you watch the video to Feds, at the end of it, the cops have us on the side of the road, and I got my hand on my gun, and you don't know what happens. Well, in The Hanging, the cops shoot me. They're at that point with me where they're fed up with my bullshit, and they're just gonna kill me, And that's how the record starts. The fucking cops shot me, blew holes through my clothes. How slugs got me leaking, bleeding out in the road. So now I'm on the run. And The Hanging has an up tempo, and it makes you feel like this guy's on the run. And
it's the adrenaline.
Yeah, the adrenaline. And now they're after me. And in the song, I got shot. I got to go to a doctor. He sews me up, was easy to do. Slug didn't hit an organ. Shot went right through. And I had to get to my safe house. My house was being surrounded by the cops. I had to leave my wife and my daughter. And I'm on the run. The dilemma of a sinner. I'm deep in it. And the end of The Hanging really is a guy walking down the street, jewelry tucked, hood up, and he has to disappear. And now it's left. Now all I have left, I blew my life for jewels, cash money, and minks. Now I'm left with just animal instincts. That's all I got. And pretty much the trilogy takes you on the ride of the hustler to where you eventually have to go on a run. And in the movie Heat, De Niro said, if you can't walk away from something in 20 minutes, everything, you can't play this game. And that last part of that song is this part of the song I never wanted to be involved with, where I have to leave my family, I have to go on the run. You know, he says, now I'm a nigga on the run, fuck a 5K1. The 5K1 is what you sign when you go to the feds where you snitch. That's the rat paper. You know, fuck a 5K1, fuck a motherfucking fed. I'm either dead or an ad said. Like, I'm gonna be in administrative segregation. Like, my life is fucked. My favorite part of that record is where I say, I hustled my whole damn life without a parking ticket. You know, now I got to get wicked with the quickness, get close and get shot, get caught and get close, get caught, get close and get shot, something like that. But I'm losing everything I love for everything I did, you know? So once again, there's a moral compass on an Ice-T record. At some point, I bring it back in to say, this ain't the guy you want to be.
And I think that's one of the most powerful trademarks of your career is that this, regardless of how glamorous the life is portrayed in some instances or some angles, there's also that reality that, hey man, there's a cost to all this. You got to pay the cost to be the boss. And a lot of times death, incarceration, on the run, paranoia, it's not a fun life.
Well, the object of the game, Soren, is to be real. We always say be real. So how are you going to be real without putting that part in there?
And then the album goes, Crime Stories goes to Too Old for the Dumb Shit. So that is a single. And that one is opening with the sirens and the paranoid state of mind and all this chaos and craziness. But, you know, it's got the girl, you think you love her, don't trust her. Then you got All Rats Must Die. So you got all kinds of chaos going on with this. And it's you know, something that came out later in your career. So why did you decide to want to put it so early in Crime Stories?
Well, that was one of the first three songs on Crime Stories are part of the trilogy. I decided I wanted to do a gangster trilogy. I put out the next record, Feds My Rearview first. The first one is Too Old for the Dumb Shit. So the Too Old for the Dumb Shit is just me as a crime boss. Got to remember, what I write is faction. It's like not necessarily Ice-T's life, but it's I'm in that zone. I'm a BM, so I become this crime boss, and I'm just dealing with the paranoia of that life. What it's like, you know, living around people, having somebody rat on you, that total paranoia of being involved. And in that song, that he finds a snitch, and you know, he's like, man, I need to handle this myself. Don't do shit to him. Bring him to me. And you know, I say in that song, all the money I made is paid for in stress. Some nights I even sleep in my fucking vest. You know, and that's just Ice-T taking you to that place. Now, one thing we got to talk about early is the reason this show, the album is called The Legend of Ice-T, Crime Stories. It's not called Ice-T Crime Stories, it's The Legend. It's because a lot of things people believe about me is our legend. It's not true. It's part of what a legend is. It's like, what part of this song is Ice? So a lot of people roll a lot of these things you see into this record into my real life. My attitude is believe what you want, you know, but I'm here to say all of it's not true. But I have the ability of an artist to become this person. So Too Old for the Dumb Shit, it's just a song of a crime boss that's in turmoil because there's a rat in his world.
Well, and you were talking about how the rats keep the pens packed, and that as we as we see more and more how true that statement is. But the thing that permeates a lot of your music, especially once you got into the 6 in the morning and after, is this paranoia that comes with the street life. Because a lot of people, of course, glamorize it, but for those that really pay attention to your music and great movies and other great gangster rappers, it's not all positive.
Absolutely.
Paranoia is a pervasive theme of your music. So for you, when did it kick in your life? And then when you started putting it in your music, why How and why and when did you see that paranoia was such a big part of this lifestyle?
As soon as you start breaking the law, as the second you start breaking the law and you start seeing people go to jail and die, you start to become paranoid. And the beginning of Too Old for the Dumb Shit, I say paranoia is a safe state of mind. And I hate to say it, but I think that's a Hitler quote. You know, but you got, later on we'll talk about the song Pain, which was on my first album, but I say phobia of cameras, So once you get into this life where you've done wrong, you've hurt people, they've hurt you, they threatened you, you don't walk around feeling comfortable. You're extremely paranoid because you know that one slip and you're either dead or you're locked away forever. So that's what Too Old for the Dumb Shit is. It's a paranoid record.
And tied into that, on Too Old for the Dumb Shit, you say every now and then you got to kill a friend. And
that's that life. That's that life. You have to be willing to take. In my life, I tried to sell drugs and all my friends came back short. Everybody. I gave everybody some dope and they came back less money than they were supposed to. What's I supposed to do? You supposed to, and I can't kill my friend. But that's what I'm saying. In the world of crime stories, this guy has to handle his business. And this means kill a kid that I raised a kid. First Rolex that he ever bought. I was more to him than his mother meant. Now the nigga's trying to serve me to the government, So this is what goes on in that world.
And then we move on to Ballin' Bitch I Knew. That's one of those unreleased gems that we get here on Crime Stories.
Right, Ballin' Bitch. It's one of these chicks, man. It's a song about meeting this chick who's a very dangerous chick. Quick to pump shoddy, sit back and kick it for a minute or two. Let me tell you about this ballin' ass bitch I knew. No joke, she leave a nigga broke quicker than shit. Hardcore. She'd leave a motherfucker dying for more. And it's the chick was so cold, no way to figure out because she was too complex. No way to leave her alone because she had mad sex. Had a body that could make the hardest nigga weak. Talk with her eyes. Homegirl really didn't have to speak. Set you up like a puppet, then blow you away. Different nigga, different sucker every fucking day. So but I wanted her. I was like, me and her could roll. We'd be like Bonnie and Clyde, So this song has an adventure. It also has some real player shit in it. In the middle of it, where I say, when I finally have to knock her, I meet her in the club and I say, let the games begin, and that's when you hear Ice-T go into his mode. I hit her with an overload of high-tech dialect, and then with sex, she eyed my Rolex. I walked straight through her eyes into her head, moved some things around, made the bed. You know what I'm saying? So it got some real player shit. She looked at me like a slave set free. Asked me my name, I told her Ice-T. She said she heard my name in the game. She said she heard I got juice. She said she heard I got fame. So this is like me and her going back and forth. But at the end of this song, I got chose. You know what I'm saying? She decided she wanted to be with me. So I call this the hustler's dream, that song.
Well, I think with Ballin' Bitch I Knew and Hit the Fan, these two powerful women at different points in the songs, they don't say anything, but they're conveying so much by not saying something. So why do you think that you use that multiple times when dealing with a woman like that?
Because that's how it really is, like I say in one of the songs, I say, I think it's like one of the songs where I say she said it with her eyes, but my eyes said the same thing too. It's like when it's going down and you making that eye contact with that female, they're saying so much really quick. When you're dealing with women, a woman will know within the first 3 to 5 minutes if she'll ever fuck you. Really quick. So wasting a lot of time ain't nothing. It's like they look at you, you know, like I say, this the first thing is physical attraction. Physical attraction is always, if you look at a chick and you cannot imagine being intimate with her, it ain't going nowhere. Vice versa. If they look at you and they go, I can't imagine kissing this dude, it's over. You might be too short, too tall, I don't know, too fat, whatever, but if you're not her type, blah. So that first physical attraction is when a lot of talking is going on early in the game, you know what I'm saying? Then you start to parlay and talk and see if they saying the right stuff. And Ballin' Bitch, I knew, she said, I know who you are. I've seen you on the movies, I love, you know, but I'm like, I gotta watch this expert in beating, breaking, busting, and blasting. Like, this is what she does. I'm looking at her like, am I her next victim? I think that's what Ballin' Bitch I knew. It's like, you know, because she took me to her room, to her house, you know, black leather, chrome to the dome, 25th floor, leaded glass doors. She put me threw me in the bed, the Black Widow's web. Like the Black Widow, like, who is this bitch? I'm thinking about what to do with this Ballin' Bitch I knew. I think every guy has been outmatched at some time, you know, where you like, okay, I'm a little bit out of my league right here with this chick. What's really going on? So to see Ice-T outmatched, but you know, it's a great record. I loved it. It has that energy. Ace produced it. It has that energy of the fast life, you know, and you got to think fast, you know. You know, she came into bed head first, like she was dying of thirst. Thought I would burst, but this was sexual competition. Lift her ass in the air, made my precision incision. I beat the pussy up like a Tyson fight. But here's the cold part. It's not all night. Pussy up like a Tyson fight. Run up like 69. But even though the girl was great, I jumped off the pussy, kicked back, and watched her masturbate. Like, I didn't even bust a nut. I was just trying to work this bitch in some kind of crazy way. Next morning, she kissed my ring and said I made her hormones sing. So it's an adventure, but as with all the crime stories, you should be able to visualize this shit. And some of the songs are better not to make videos because your vision will be better than we can make. So there's no video to that, and that's an unreleased song.
Now that we've gone through every single song, as you're thinking back on our discussion, and then as you were assembling the album, what would you say is the legacy or the point and the goal of this project?
I just think the goal is to really, I don't know, it's just like we're categorizing a style of rap. It's a category. You know, there's lots of different styles of rap. So in this category, I wanted to bring you my work in this category of storytelling. It's a lot of great storytellers. Master Ace, I love Raekwon, I love Ghostface Killer's storytelling. This is a category. So putting them all together over 20 years of work. And I think the cool thing is when you listen to them, they all sound pretty much like they could have been done last week. The only thing you can really hear different is the music, the different types of music we use, and some of the mixes are different. But it's part of my legacy. I think that's what it is. I think, like, what is Ice-T known for? Well, I guess it's a way of saying he's known as a storyteller, and he's been doing it. We didn't even realize when we were listening to 6 in the morning, that's a story, you know? And that's kind of like what Ice does. I'm very interested when the critics get a hold of it. Will it dawn on them? Will they go, wow, we've been listening to all these songs so long, we didn't really realize that there's actually a body of work here that, you know, I mean, certain other rappers could put out their 10 most, I would say, lyrical tracks, or an album of all their most lyrical tracks. where there would just be, you know, like Chino XL or somebody like that, where it's just like, God damn it, I can't even listen. This shit is so intense, right? But that's a style. That's a category. So I'm just trying to get myself into the storytellers category with Slick. I mean, it's funny when the press got it, they go, Ice wants his crown. I don't want anybody's crown. I just want to, you know, when I first started rapping, I didn't want to be better than anybody. I just want to be mentioned amongst the active rappers, you know? So, you know, throw my name in the hat over here with the storytellers of hip hop.
Well, I think Crime Stories definitely does that. And I think the thing, you know, it's just amazing as we talk about it, as I think about it, I've been listening to your music since the 80s. It's all the things we talked about, the details, the wrinkles, the perspective, the sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Most of the time you're going to lose in this game, at least, but you might win with the females, but you might lose in life. And I think it's that's the true power of the music that you've assembled here on Crime Stories. So, you know, I think it's amazing. I'm excited for people to hear it myself. So.
All right, well, thank you, Soren. Thanks for doing this.
Be sure to check out The History of Gangster Rap by Soren Baker. He's official.
History of Gangster Rap features exclusive interviews with Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, MC Ren, the D.O.C, and dozens of others. The History of Gangster Rap, a definitive look at how Los Angeles changed rap forever.
In Los Angeles, the streets definitely set the tone of the hip-hop music.
At 19, I got a $50,000 car.
My whole angle always was, I'll be street, but I will always tell you the horrors that go along with this life.
There will be penalties and casualties for just wearing the wrong color in somebody's neighborhood.
And once gangster rap made it from the streets to the TV, the genre exploded.
With Fab 5 on Your MTV Raps with NWA.
Yo MTV, it just catapulted us from being local heroes to national gangbang rappers.
The History of Gangster Rap discusses it all from 1980 up till today.
It's always gonna be shit happening in the streets. You know what I mean? So it's always gonna be something to talk about.
The History of Gangster Rap in stores now.